we'll go ahead and get started. As always, Kat will email out this file. If you've got any questions, please use the raise hand feature on the Zoom or text me or smoke signal, whatever you feel is most convenient. And we will now turn it over to Coach for an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions. Coach?
Well, it's thank you, Art. It's fun to just talk about the season and a real game and game week, and it's 2020. Nothing has been normal, as we all know, about this year for the most part, the entire year. But we're starting in a very historical place that college football has been such a great part of Notre Dame, the institution. I think it's unique and it's appropriate that 2020 opens in South Bend against a great team. First of all, a top 10 team without a doubt. Just look at their ability, their talent. But as a program, one of the top 5 programs in the history of college football. So it's a great opportunity to test your team. It's a great opportunity to energize your team. And when we found out we're playing Notre Dame up there to open, I think that helped us, realizing how big a challenge that is. I think it really did infuse some energy into our camp and into the preseason work and practices. Notre Dame is formidable. They're physical. They've got a great player at quarterback in Ian Book. They got just a great offensive front and plenty of skill around there. Defensively, a lot of people back that are big-time playmakers. You see their speed, you see their strength on defense, and then they're outstanding in the kicking game. They've got good specialists, but beyond that, their players play hard. They're complete. They're well coached. Brian Kelly does a great job. The coordinators do a great job. I've spent, obviously hours and hours looking at them. So we'll find out a lot about ourselves. Our team has done a great job of staying focused, doing what we've asked them to do. We've stayed as healthy as we could. When it comes to the virus, we have stayed as healthy as we could to whatever level that is. Certainly losing Jack Wallabaugh was a tough blow. But for the most part, our team is healthy and ready to move forward. So with that, I'll take your questions.
All right, first let's go to Jim Sumner.
Hey, David, I've got kind of a two-part question. First, you mentioned their coordinators. Notre Dame has a new offensive coordinator, unlike Duke's new offensive coordinator. Tommy Rees doesn't have much of a track record. How does that complicate your preparation for Notre Dame? And I also want to ask you about Ian Book. He did not have a great passing game against Duke last year, but he had a great running game, frequently on called pass plays where he broke containment and picked up positive yards. So how do you stop that from happening again this year?
Well, first of all, Brian Kelly's offenses have always had elements that they're going to execute well. They're going to be physical. I don't think that you're going to see Ian Book do a lot of things different than what he's done in the past. With that offensive line and their experience, you're going to stay on the same path for the most part. Everybody puts in wrinkles here and there, a new year and new people coming in, but I think the bottom line is to prepare as best you can what you expect to see, and certainly personnel dictates a lot of what you're thinking about. And in Ian Book, a year ago, they dominated us, and his running ability was on display in big plays that he put out there running the football. But he can throw it, and he throws it well, and he's got great skill around him to do that. There's not a weakness in the Notre Dame team, and certainly I would expect them to blend both pass and run, and I know what his capabilities are.
Let's go to Aaron Beard.
Hey, David. You guys mentioned with Chase Bryce, you guys announced with Chase Bryce, and you said in your statement that he had made plays at the highest rate. I guess I was curious if you could elaborate a little bit more on that, maybe what he was the biggest area that he had the edge on the other guys that he did the best at in camp.
Well, I think it changed weekly one of the things that took a bit, and it would, is you had two guys competing for the job that knew the system in the system. I think Chase, as he got more comfortable with our system, what you started seeing was his experience. He's played a lot more football at this level than the other two have. Chase played a lot of games and a lot of game time at Clemson, and you could see that pocket movement and just feeling natural in a pocket, the timing mechanism of throws. And as he got more comfortable, his accuracy level at all the throws, whether it was deep balls, intermediate, short, layoff, he just became more and more the most comfortable quarterback on a day-to-day basis. And as the week closed out last week, I think it became more obvious, and it's when we made the decision to start him at the Notre Dame game. But I do, and I've said it, and I said it in the release, it's not just words. Chris and Gunnar both have played outstanding. They're talented players. They're doing everything that's asked of them. And so certainly the circumstance is going to be fluid when you have a team that you hadn't played, you hadn't had a spring practice, you hadn't scrimmaged as much as what you would have in the past, hadn't had a normal camp. So you just got to now go play games. But I think Chase earned this start without a doubt. He's a talented young man and does a lot of things extremely well.
And just to follow up on that, is who would be the number two guy, or is that more of a fluid situation as well?
Yeah, that's completely fluid right now, and that might be the situation of the game or the circumstance, and both of those guys have great strengths. Chris Katrinik is really a master of our system, throws the ball really well, more of a drop-back guy. Gunner's throwing it really well, but Gunner gives you the dual threat. He's got a lot of speed and a lot of things that he brings to the table. So, again, it would be the circumstance right now. But they're bracketed as number two, and, I mean, truly bracketed. There's no three. We got a starting quarterback, and then we've got two backups.
Thanks, David.
All right, let's go to Shane Smith.
Hey, Coach, just to follow up on that, do you envision, like, you've had a history in the past of having, a second quarterback who can come in short yardage situations, in a running role. Do you envision one of Chris or Gunnar coming in the game, maybe even at Notre Dame?
That's always a possibility. Right now, it's not on the highest priority level for this ball game. The uniqueness of our practice and the experiences that we've had to deal with during camp, the amount of time we can put into different things is more limited than what it's been in the past. But that's certainly a possibility that you could see, either one of them in this game. But I'm not ready to say I want to go into the game. We got a starter. We're going to go play that way, and I think that's the best approach to start the season.
All right, Tom Shanahan. Tom, we can't hear you.
Those are generally all the best questions. I'll say that again. Anybody lip read? I'm not seeing anyone. Art?
No, unfortunately, we don't have Tom.
Tom, thank you for your vote of confidence. Appreciate it.
All right, let's go to Mike Toper.
Afternoon. Excuse me. Good afternoon, Coach. I was just wondering if you could kind of tell us about some of the COVID-19 testing protocols that you guys will get into as far as game weeks, and how do you try to stay diligent on top of that with the players?
Well, the first thing I think all of us need to realize and know is that player health and safety is number one in everything we're doing. We're taking the time that it takes, and that's why I'm mentioning time. So it's not just the testing, it's the protocols, it's the two different locker rooms that we're using, it's the physical distancing, it's the masking. I feel really awkward now without a mask because I wear one all day long. It is every bit of this requires our players to have extreme discipline. Could not be more proud of them and what they've done. I think the NBA has showed us that to whatever level you can create a bubble, that's what you have to do. And our guys have done a great job with that without necessarily being in a bubble. But hygiene, masking, distancing, all of that has played a role in it. Testing has played a role in it. We've been twice a week, a big part of the time since we've been back. And our guys have done great with that. We are moving into, in the next few days, we'll be going into daily testing that we're going to do here. I think the conference is doing 3 tests a week, every institution, but we're going to be moving into a daily regimen. It takes time. We're willing to give the time to do that again. We want to keep our players safe. We want to keep all of our personnel that work with our players and everyone that comes in contact with them. It's important to us. So it's important to Duke University. It's very important to us, and we're going to be diligent in every aspect in that regard. So we got a lot of different ways we're going about traveling and how we're going to do it. And it's a unique time. I've learned a lot about a great deal about how you can prevent the spread of any infectious disease. And we will continue on a lot of these paths in the future. Hopefully COVID-19 gets behind us at some point. But I still think we've all learned a lot about trying to stay healthy and safe.
All right, let's go to Jared Fialco.
Coach, kind of piggybacking along those lines from what Mike asked, there have clearly been other schools who have not been able to handle this as well as you guys have. There are 2 other instances of ACC schools in the Triangle who have had setbacks. Is there any particular reason you could pinpoint as why things have gone down so smoothly on your campus? Is it just there's lower numbers of students there? Is it, the money that the school has invested into testing? Is there anything that you can pinpoint why this has gone as smoothly as it has for you guys?
Well, I think that's a great question. I do think it's probably multiple things. I would start by saying that Dr. Price and his team, I know the time they've put into this starting last spring, how diligent they've been has been beyond imagination. They've created an environment on campus that everybody is focused and conscious of it. Bob Wiseman and Becca Willis here in the athletics department, who are running all of this protocol and heading this up for us in athletics, are absolute superstars. Kevin Lehman in our office, our operations here within football, have been diligent and phenomenal. And then certainly none of this happens without your players buying in to what they're asked to do. I do think the smaller numbers of people that we have around, we've got them in individual rooms. We're willing to take that cost on. So they've been able to isolate themselves to some degree. It's a sacrifice to be young people and not be out and be social. And I don't know how they do it. I let them know at least every other day that I admire what they're doing. I think they're very bought into each other and feel responsible to each other. I tell our parents all the time, we lead the country in great parents. I think our parents have had a great influence on these young men. So it's a combination of things. But Dr. White here in athletics, Dr. Price, the leadership here has been just amazing to me and enabled to put us in an environment we have a chance to be successful.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, let's go back to Aaron Beard.
David, you guys took a bad hit with Jack's injury. I guess we had asked you a little bit about depth on the line in preseason and guys that could maybe move around a little bit on the line. Kind of how does this change things for you guys up front?
Well, it's been tough because it's one of your captains. It's a great player that's returning, and so you quickly have to move forward, in which we've done, and we do have multiple people that can snap and play center. Casey Holman has played center during camp. Rock Chambers. We've got a freshman, Graham Barton, who is doing a tremendous job, true freshman, that's played tackle, that's played center. I cannot say enough about him. Elijah Roden, who is a redshirt freshman, is another candidate in there. Those two are the two obvious backups behind Will Taylor, and Will is playing the best football he's played since he's been here. Thank goodness that's timely. Addison Penn, another center that's a true freshman, has been out with injury, so we hope to get him back soon. And then we've worked Jacob Monk there. We've about covered everything that you can possibly cover, and it's unfortunate that we had Jack, Will, and probably Addison in that order, and then two of those three go down. But I can't say enough for our players about them, as they've worked hard to step up, and we're not missing a beat. So I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing.
Thanks.
All right, let's go back to Jim Sumner.
David, I want to pivot back to Notre Dame if I can. Last year, Duke fell into a hole pretty early, never really climbed out of it. What are the keys for Duke being competitive up in South Bend this Saturday?
Well, I mean, there's no question that we didn't slow them down, and we didn't move the ball, or we didn't score points early on. I think we've got to be aggressive on both sides of the ball. We can't be afraid. We can't play on our heels. I thought we got on our heels a little bit on both sides of the ball a year ago. They're talented. They are outstanding, and as I said, well coached. So I think you have to match that with an aggressiveness, with a nature that you're going to compete at the highest level. And I think we have to be aggressive. We've got to play extremely well in the kicking game. And we've got to try to blend some phases. I mean, that's when we're at our best. We get a stop on defense. We need to take advantage of it with our return game, and then take advantage of it offensively. That's how you get started in games and make yourself competitive. And that's always something that we're focused on. And again, part of that is you got to create some of this with being aggressive.
You mentioned the kicking game. A, is Charlie Ham healthy, and B, have you decided on a punter?
Yeah, Charlie is healthy, and we're still looking at both Jackson Hubbard and Porter Wilson have averaged big numbers, well into the 40s, all through camp. And we're going. Coach Benedict and I are going to talk today, later this afternoon, go through all of our personnel and make some decisions on who's going to start at punter. Charlie's healthy and has been just tremendous at this point. And Jackson Hubbard and John Taylor are a great tandem. Jackson's the best holder I've had, best holder in the country as far as I'm concerned. And so I feel really confident about our specialists.
All right, Tom, let's try you again here. No, we can't hear you.
Thank you again, Tom.
Another great question from Tom, so that's good. All right, well, that'll wrap things up for today. Hope everybody has a good rest of the holiday, and we will talk to you guys soon.